Imagine if your child could not communicate with you, or make eye contact with you, or smile in pictures. For a lot of parents with children with autism spectrum disorder, this is a reality. According to the Center for Disease Control, autism affects 1 in 68 children. ASD is almost 5 times more common among boys, 1 in 42, than girls, 1 in 189. Parents who have a child with autism spectrum disorder have 2% to 18% chance of having a second child who is also affected. 46% of children identified with autism spectrum disorder have average to above average intellectual abilities. My son Benjamin was diagnosed with autism at 18 months old. Autism spectrum disorder, also known as ASD, is a diagnosis given for Asperger's syndrome, autism, and persuasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, or also known as PDD-NOS. Autism spectrum disorder is called a spectrum because it is based on the high end of the spectrum or the low end of the spectrum. If your child is at the high end, they are high functioning. If your child is at the low end, they are low functioning. If you've never met a child with autism, you may have seen one portrayed on television, like Max in Parenthood and Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory. Now I'm going to talk about the signs and symptoms according to the National Autism Association. Symptoms include social impairments, communication impairments, mannerisms such as hand flapping, twirling objects, spinning or rocking back and forth, little or no eye contact, lack of friends, and lack of interest in peer relationships. They also have a near photographic memory. Symptoms appear in infancy or early childhood. Ben started showing symptoms at 6 months old and then was diagnosed at 18 months. They also have hypersensitivity to sound. It is not unusual to see children with ASD covering their ears because they hear everything on the same level that we hear. Such as a dog barking in the distance, or traffic, or the hum of an air conditioner, things that we would normally tune out, they cannot tune anything out. They hear everything at the same level. Adele Jamison Tilton, author of The Everything Parent's Guide to Autism, states that elopement in connection with autism means that the child can escape from home or school and wander off. Some children that are on the low end of the spectrum have to be watched at all times, which can be very stressful for their parents. Another term used for this is a runner, because they literally run when they see something that catches their attention. They also insist on having a routine. A sudden change in their daily routine can cause a meltdown. They have to have structure. When we are going somewhere the night before, Benjamin and I have to talk about where we are going to be and who is going to be there to try to ease some of his anxiety. According to the CDC, there is no single cause for autism spectrum disorder. Researchers do not know the exact cause of autism, but are investigating a number of theories, including links between genetics, heredity, and medical problems. In our case, we have 3 children. Our oldest 2 are neurotypical, and our youngest is on the spectrum. In our family, I have 1 cousin that has a son with autism, and my husband has 2 cousins with children that are on the spectrum. My husband and I have always believed that there is a genetic link as well as an environmental link. Here is a video. According to Tilton, some children with autism engage in a behavior called stimming. This stands for self-stimulating behavior, which some experts believe is used as a calming measure. Stimming can include rocking, spinning an object repeatedly, twisting or twirling an object, repeating words or phrases, and other repetitive activities. This is a video of a 2-year-old boy stimming. all children stim differently. It can be any kind of repetitive motion. It can be a sound that they make repetitively. It can be a flapping of the hands, a spinning in circles. It can be anything that is calming to them that they feel. They just, as long as it's repetitive, it's considered stimming. According to Tilton, if a child has autism spectrum disorder, it is very likely that he or she will have an element of OCD as well. Autism, by its very nature, includes obsessions and compulsions as part of the matrix of symptoms. Jan Johnston Tyler, author of Mom's Guide to Asperger's Syndrome, states that depression may occur in children with ASD, especially in older children with Asperger's, due to the sense of isolation and frustration that accompanies their social and emotional issues. Tyler also states that some children with ASD will also have a seizure disorder, and often the seizures do not start until puberty. According to the National Autism Association, diagnosis is made by a developmental pediatrician according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of the American Psychological Association. The manual guides physicians in diagnosing ASD according to a specific number of symptoms. A brief observation in a single setting can present a true picture of someone's abilities and behaviors. Input from parents, teachers, and caregivers are also components of an accurate diagnosis. The National Autism Association states that autism is treatable. Children do not outgrow autism, but studies show that early intervention leads to significant improved outcomes. Some therapies are used to help the symptoms are speech therapy, feeding therapy, because kids with ASD become very specific about what they will eat, and it has to be an exact brand of the foods they will eat, such as McDonald's chicken nuggets. Textures of foods play a big part in this. And feeding therapy, a speech therapist works with a child to get them to try different kinds of foods. Sensory therapies, described by Johnston Tyler as deep pressure, such as a weighted vest or blanket, slow swinging, chewing activities, chewies, balls, and other items that they can squeeze. Here is a picture of a weighted blanket, a weighted vest, a fidget toy, which they use in their hands when they are fidgety, and chewies that they chew on. The National Research Council describes applied behavior analysis as simply the application of behavioral principles to everyday situations that will over time increase or decrease targeted behaviors. ABA has been used to help individuals acquire many different skills, self-help skills, and play skills. The CDC states that it is estimated to cost at least $17,000 more to care for a child with autism than a child without. Costs include healthcare, education, ASD therapy, family coordinated services, and caregiver time. For a child with more severe ASD, costs increase to over $21,000. Taken together, it is estimated that the total societal cost of caring for a child with ASD were over $9 billion in 2011. At age 3, children do qualify for the Autism Scholarship, which covers $20,000 a year for therapies. However, it is taken away if that child attends a public school. In closing, I wouldn't change my son for anything. Autism makes him who he is. Without autism, he wouldn't be obsessed with football or incredibly literal and not understand sarcasm at all. He would not have the same personality. There is a saying that God only gives special needs children to special people, and I feel very special that we were given our son. And this is Benjamin at age 6.